to be dominant. It could be a male, female, or non-specific gender to be able to handle that particular role. Then you got the recessive, which is someone who's is complementary to the dominant person. Now, when it comes to the kink part, is everyone has their fetishes.
That's where it gets tricky.
Right, that's where it gets tricky. You have to be able to adapt to whatever fetishes somebody has.
What role do you play in it?
Well, me per se,
Yeah.
I'm a dominant.
Okay.
I'm what you call a dom.
And you mess with
I mess with submissive types.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that I mess with submissive. I mess with submissive types. At first, I might be what you would consider a soft dom. And what a soft dom is something.
Okay.
Well, I do segue. I do appreciate that you have brought the first guest. Listen, the first guest is a light skinned guy. So I mean, we kind of win it. We kind of win it on some type of level. Right, I had to keep it in the family. Yes, I appreciate it. Yes, I appreciate it. Yes, sir. But as it regards to the dominance and soft dominance is sometimes you gotta finesse your way for the recessive or for the submissive to be more receptible, and that's for beginners. And then you have those types who already know what they want, and if they know what they want, then it's a little bit easier to be a dominant role. It has nothing to do with alpha males. Like, it's just a role that you play. I mean, I know personally some beta males that are dominant.
Do you believe in the alpha male, beta male titles?
I mean, that's some psychology bullshit babble. And I mean,
so too.
I mean it is. But if you want to categorize, it's like you got different species of dogs.
Yeah.
You know, you got different types of breeds, rather. You can name them, but they all dog. It's the same with human beings. You can name the type of personalities everyone will have, but at the end of the day, it's still a man, you know. So I ain't gonna say that I prescribe to it, I get off on it, but I understand it. If you want to get down to the specifics of who a person or what type of characteristics a person really has, that's cool. Yeah. You can call them that. You can call them a beta.
Is there a way to like identify these type of people in public, or like say you out and about or whatever? Is there a look to a female to be like, oh yeah, she looks like a submissive?
Absolutely. Within the first, well, for me, I can't say for anybody else. Within the first few conversational sentences, I can understand whether or not that person is a dominant or a recessive. Just because you see people nowadays, well, our whole societal understanding of who they're becoming, gender roles and whatnot, it's changing. But for the most part, you can tell whether or not a person is a dominant or a recessive person just within how their life is or how they approach life. You can tell whether or not. Like, if someone, to me, I can't say that for everybody else, but someone to me, if you are the person who allows life to push you on, and you just find yourself in situations like, hey, how did I get here? To me, that's more recessive. Instead of beating your own path and trailblazing your way through life. So that's more of a dominant.
So it's almost beyond sexual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it has no gender roles. It has no gender roles at all.
Yeah, so you just have dominant people and submissive people.
Right. You have dominant people, you have submissive people, and I think gender has no place at all. Because if that was the case, in the world of BDSM, you have dominatrices and you have dominant men, and that wouldn't exist. You know, that'd be an oxymoron. How can a woman be a dominant female, and she's a woman? Like that's kind of like a total opposite thing.
Could it be possible for a woman or male that's dominant and like at work or whatever be a submissive in the bedroom? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So you have personalities that changes over. Again, there's a role. Like it might be something that's a part of their personality, or it might be something that's a role that they choose to play in a sexual manner. And that's usually how it is in that world.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
I like how you broke it down.
Very interesting.
That's very enlightening.
Very enlightening.
Thank you, sir. So, we got you traveling the world at 16. You end up in California doing freaky shit with people. Where do we go?
You can't tell too many people about that, bro.
Brother, I'm sorry.
Right.
So, brother, so what happens after the traveling?
So after the traveling, always come back to home.
Yeah.
Detroit is always home. Got into a little pickle, bro. I got into a little situation.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, man. So, I ain't honest. I ain't the most scrupulous character. I got into a situation where, somebody tried to take my kindness in the dope game. How you can't be kind?
You can't.
For weakness. And that led me into that person being, kind of messed up.
What led up to that?
So there was a situation where it was a personal friend of mine, actually. Mm-hmm. We made money together. But he also, he was, I wouldn't call him necessarily like a close friend, but we were associates, and we were associates in the game. We both knew what the agenda was to make money. And he tried to stab me in the back. One thing led to another. Yada, yada, yada. And he didn't end up well because he tried to do harm to me.
So explain him not ending up well. We need to break this down a
little
bit.
Bro, you know what? For the sake of the people and the sake of the people who might be listening, his family, his supporters, he doesn't exist anymore.
He's
but
unalive.
In the memory, he's unalive. He's unalive. And I mean that weighs heavy. That weighs heavy on me. It weighs heavy on, I would imagine, his family.
Yeah.
But it's a consequence for
his actions.
Yeah, I can really say that.
So after this takes place, what are the thoughts going through your head? Where do you go? What do you do?
What's next is try to somewhat exonerate myself of all liability. But, at the end of the day, I'll be thinking, hey, you kind of put yourself in a situation. You lived a life. The life didn't pan out as you wanted it. Yeah. And you got the end result of it, So that whole situation put me in a position where I had to face a judge, a jury, and a prosecutor.
Now, did you get caught immediately? Did you go on the run for a minute? How did that work?
I had the option of going on the run. That's kind of crazy because, I could have went to Canada, and I had people in Canada. I was affiliated in Canada. That's one of my travel exploits when I started learning people.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, absolutely. But I chose not to. And just like anybody, like a rabbit comes back to the place where they were injured, I came back to Detroit. And when I come back to Detroit, they was looking for me. They was looking for me. So it was only a matter of time that I got caught, questioned in regards to the circumstances. And I had to face that. Yeah. I had to face that. So I kind of feel like they were more concerned with what the surrounding circumstances that was occurring more than the action that caused or led to the death itself. You know, it's like painting a picture of this guy, who he is, what he does, irregardless of the fact that someone else tried to harm him in the process of doing this.
They try to turn you into the villain.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And but it's neither here or there. Like, what happened happened.
Yeah.
I faced the consequences and I dealt with it like a man.
So you going through the court proceedings. You're about to get sentenced. What type of emotions are going through your mind?
Disbelief. Like, it's unbeknownst for me to be a victim, you know, in the situation. I had to pay for a lawyer, you know, the proceeds from the unscrupulous acts did what it did, you know, but it wasn't enough. And I believe there was an intent to make a point. Hey, no matter whether or not you're right or wrong, or no matter whether or not you have the entitlement to life, you still need to pay for your crimes against the community. And that's how I see it. I had to suffer what was the inevitable. And I had to live up to the expectations of the responsibility that I had. And that was dealing with me being a drug dealer and me fucking up the community, you know?
That's accountability.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people that walk around here and they blame everything on everybody else besides themselves.
Right.
You come to a different point inside of your life when you can be accountable for what you did.
Absolutely.
You sold drugs.
Absolutely.
What comes with that?
Yeah.
It comes with the robbers. It comes with the deceit from your friends and family, people stealing from you. It comes with a lot of bad stuff. Right.
And that's just something that I had to accept, you know. So whatever came after that, I'm good. I'm okay. You know.
So what did come from that?
Prison. 17 years worth. And I'm gonna say like 13 years of it was primarily because of the situation at hand.
Yeah.
The additional 4 was because of the residual effect of the 13 years. Mm-hmm. You know, in prison, shit, I wasn't the most straightforward person.
Wait, you riding on that bus to prison, right?
Yeah.
Your first day there, what were your thoughts?
I'm 18 years old.
Ooh.
And I don't know what the fuck going on. This is some serious shit right here. Do I have to protect my ass? I'm light skinned. Is that something that plays into the needing to protect myself?
Yeah.
You know that's all that shit runs through your mind. But funny thing is, county jail kind of prepped me. Probably it was a little worse than prison itself. County jail is everybody get to act the ass. You get to see how people really act when they lose it all. You know, and so me seeing that, having never experienced any of that per se before, it kind of adjusted me for prison. You know, hey, if I got to fight, oh fuck, excuse my French, then I'm gonna have to fight. 'Cause I'm not fucking. You know, and I don't care what color I am. I don't care where I'm from in Detroit. I don't care where, you know, how I was raised.
That goes back to the dominant
I mean, yeah, that's the inner self. The inner self is what kind of reveals itself after some time. Like see that they have a saying in prison, and I believe you might be aware of it. Who you are will reflect when you're in prison because there's nothing to protect you.
No, you don't have a thing.
So if you were weak as AF, you still weak AF.
Indeed.
And there's nothing to kind of shield you from danger. And that's how it was. Like, all right, so I step into that environment. I step into that situation.